Now, children, I'm going to take you back a long time before this, to the Roman days, when the Tuscan army were determined that they were going to march upon Rome and right what they felt was their wrongs against the city of Rome. And they gathered such a great big army that, the Roman fathers, the council, was really frightened. And they decided the only thing they could do to save the city of Rome was to cut down the bridge that bridged the Tiber River. And, of course, this big river, they felt, had gods to which they prayed in. They had many gods, the Romans. But they had some very brave men, and one of the bravest is one of the keepers of the bridge, and his name was Horatius. Now, let's go back to the first. I can give you just a very few verses of this because it's a real long one. Make sure you get the book and have your daddies read it to you. Oh, my son Terry would put his little head against me while I read this by the hour to him. Now Laurus Persenia of Clusium, by the 9 gods he swore that the great house of Tarquin should suffer wrong no more. By the 9 gods he swore it, and named a trysting day, and bade his messengers ride forth east to west and south to north to summon his array. And now hath every city sent up her tale of men. The foot are 80,000, the horses are 10,010. Before the gates of Sutrium is met the great array, as a proud man was Lord Persenia upon the trysting day. Now, and nearer, fast and nearer, doth the red whirlwind come, and louder still, more loud, from underneath that rolling cloud is heard the trumpet's war note proud. The trampling and the humming plainly and more plainly now through the gloom appears, far to left and far to right, in broken gleams of dark blue light, the long array of helmets bright, the long array of spears. But the council's brow was sad, and the council's speech was low, and darkly looked he at the walls, and darkly at the foe. Their van will be upon us before the bridge goes down, and if they once may win the bridge, what hope to save the town? Then out spake brave Horatius, the captain of the gate, to every man upon this earth death cometh soon or late, and how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? Hew down the bridge, Sir Council, with all the speed ye may, and I, with 2 more to help me, will hold the foe at play. In yon straight path 1,000 may well be stopped by 3. Now who will stand on either side and keep the bridge with me? Then outspake Spurius Lartius, a Romanian, proud was he. Although I will stand at thy right hand and keep the bridge with thee. And outspake strong Herminius, of Titan blood was he. I will abide on thy left side and keep the bridge with thee. Now meanwhile the Tuscan army, right glorious to behold, came flashing black the noonday light, rank behind rank like surges bright of a broad sea of gold. 400 trumpets sounded a peal of warlike glee, as that great host with measured tread and spears advanced, and ensigns spread rose slowly toward the bridge's head, where stood the dauntless 3. The 3 stood calm and silent, and looked upon the foes, and a great shout of laughter from the vanguard rose. And 3 chieftains spurring before their mighty mass, to earth they sprang, their swords they drew, and lifted high their shields, and flew to win that narrow pass. Now Annius from green Tifernien, lord of the hill of vines, and Cisseus, whose 800 slaves sicken in Alva's mines, and Picius longed to Clusium, vassal in peace and war, who led to fight his Euburnian powers, from the great crag where grit with towers the fortress of Necrium towers, or the pale waves of Nar. Stout Lartius hurled down Annius into the stream beneath. Herminius struck at Cisseus and clove him to the teeth. At Picius brave Horatius darted one fiery thrust, and the proud Umbenian's gilded arms clashed in the bloody dust. But now no sound of laughter was heard among the foes. A wild and wrathful clamor from all the vanguard rose. 6 spears' lengths from the entrance halted that mighty mass, and for a space no man came forth to win that narrow pass. But hark, the cry is Astur, and lo, the ranks divide, and the great Lord of Luna comes with his stately stride. Upon his ample shoulders clangs loud the 4-fold shield, and in his hand he shakes the brand which none but he can wield. He smiled on those bold Romans, a smile serene and high. He eyed the flinching Tuscans, and scorn was in his eye. Quoth he, the she-wolf's litter stands savagely at bay, but will ye dare to follow if Astur leads the way? Then whirling up his broadsword with both hands to the height, he rushed against Horatius and smote with all his might. With shield and blade Horatius right deftly turned the blow. The blow, though turned, came yet too nigh. It missed his helm, but gashed his thigh. The Tuscans raised a joyful sigh to see Horatius' red blood flow. He reeled, and on Herminius he leaned one breathing space, then like a wild cat mad with wounds sprang right at Astur's face. Through teeth and skull and helmet so fierce a thrust he sped. The good sword stood a handbreadth out behind the Tuscan's head. And the great lord of Luna fell at that deadly stroke, as falls on Mount Avenius a thunder-smitten oak. For the crashing forest the giant arms lie spread, and the pale augurs muttering low gaze on the blasted head. On Astur soaked Horatius right firmly pressed his heel, and thrice and 4 times tugged amain ere he wrenched out the steel. And see, he cried, the welcome, fair guest that waits you here. What noble Lucomio comes next to taste our Roman cheer? But meanwhile axe and lever have manfully been plied, and now the bridge hangs tottering above the boiling tide. Come back, Horatius! Loud cries the fathers all. Back, Lartius, back, Herminius, back ere the ruins fall. Back darted spurious Lartius, Herminius darted back, and as they passed beneath their feet they felt the timbers crack. But when they turned their faces and on the further shore saw brave Horatius stand alone, they would have crossed once more. But with a crash like thunder fell every loosened beam, and like a dam the mighty wreck lay right athwart the stream. A long, loud shout of triumph rose from the walls of Rome, as to the highest turret tops was splashed the yellow foam. All alone stood brave Horatius, but constant still in mind. Thrice 30,000 foes before, and the broad flood behind. Down with him, cried false Sextus, with a smile on his pale face. Now yield thee, cried Lars Porsennia, now yield ye to our grace. Round turned he, as not deigning those craven ranks to see. Naught spake he to Lars Porsennia, to Sextus naught spake he. But he saw on Platinius the white porch of his home, and he spake to the noble river that rolls by the towers of Rome. O Tiber, Father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray, a Roman's life, a Roman's arms, take thou in charge this day. So spake he, and speaking sheathed the good sword by his side, and with his harness on his back plunged headlong in the tide. No sound of joy or sorrow was heard from either bank, but friends and foes in dumb surprise, with parted lips and straining eyes, stood gazing where he sank. And when above the surges they saw his crest appear, all Rome sent forth a rapturous cry, and even the ranks of Tuscany could scarce forbade a cheer. But fiercely ran the current, swollen high by months of rain, and fast his blood was flowing, and he was sore in pain, and heavy with his armor, and spent with changing blows. And oft they thought him sinking, but still again he rose. And now he feels the bottom, and on dry earth he stands. Now round him throng the fathers to press his gory hands. Then now with shouts and clapping and noise of weeping loud, he enters through the river gate, borne by the joyous crowd.